Hey guys, Sam here, and welcome back to another FIFA 17 experiment. It's been a minute since I made a video. You may or may not be able to tell by my face that I've been outside. I was at my friend's farm over the weekend, and we were outside like camping and stuff, and just being generally gay. Not actually gay, we were just out camping. It was a bunch of us for his birthday, out there drinking, sitting around a campfire, sitting in the sun and getting burnt. But you guys don't care about that. Today we are back with a subscriber suggested experiment, and it comes from Under FIFA Romania. He says make a best team of Mourinho versus best team of Guardiola, combine the best players who were coached by both Pep and Mourinho and make them into their own different teams. There were a couple of comments like that. This one got the most likes, however, so I thought I'd go with Under FIFA Romania. Thank you so much for the idea, and everybody else that wanted to see this as well. It's a fantastic idea. There is probably one only problem, and that's the fact that there are a few players that are managed by both Mourinho and Pep. The way we'll be deciding where these players go is who managed them for longer. For example, Iron Robin managed by Mourinho longer in his days at Chelsea, and even someone like Ibrahimovic, who was also managed more by Mourinho. Another thing that should be mentioned is that Jose Mourinho has been managing for a much longer time. Mourinho got his first senior role, I believe, in the year 2000, whereas Pep got his in about 2008, maybe even 2007 when he had the Barca B job. So Mourinho has a lot more players that have retired or since then declined, and I really didn't want to be creating too many players and having these teams full of created players. I wanted players in the game in these teams as well. What I've done is I've created some players because some players just have to be in these teams, and what I've done is I've buffed some of the players that have declined, and I've even given some buffs to players that even now still have a decent rating, and I've just sort of tried making these teams as even as possible and really more just showing players that have been under these two coaches. You guys might disagree or agree with the teams that I've made. It's not really, it doesn't matter if these are the best teams that these two have managed or not. I just picked the players that I wanted to really see, and I didn't want to create too many. So there might be players that are missing from here that you think should be in there. That's completely fine. But yeah, if you're going to complain about the players that I picked to put in these teams, jeez, I'm probably going to hear about it in the comment section. If there's a really obvious one, I'm sorry, but I think I covered most of the bases. I hope, I pray. But like I said before, there are players that have missed out. I didn't want to make the teams too big. I didn't want to create too many players or buff too many players or whatever. Players are going to miss out. It's natural. But without further ado, let's take a look at the two different teams before we get into the simulations, and let's see which of the two teams are better. Okay, so kick things off with Pep Guardiola's team. As you can see, it's a 4-3-3 with Robert Lewandowski up front, and then two, I guess they're wingers in this formation, but really more like inverted strikers, Aguero and Messi. Xavi, Busquets, and Iniesta as a midfield three. What a midfield three that was for Barcelona. And similar to midfield three, the back four consists of Abidal, Puyol, PK, and Dani Alves. And then Manuel Neuer in between the sticks. He pips it just ahead of Victor Valdez. Speaking of Victor Valdez, he is on the bench, and some other players on the bench as well. Like I said before, I didn't want to make these teams too big, and I didn't want to create too many players. So you could argue that maybe there's a few more players that could be in here, but I've just decided, really, the midfield, I just decided to keep the Manchester City ones. Yaya Toure, I think, was at Barca when Pep was as well. So a player that was managed twice under Pep Guardiola, if I'm right about that. But yeah, like I said, some of the ratings will be different as well because I did buff the players. Moving on to Jose Mourinho's team, it is a 4-2-3-1 of sorts with Zlatan Ibrahimovic up front, Deco behind him. God, do you remember Deco? What a fucking player he was. Ronaldo on the left, Robin on the right. Like I said before, Robin and Ibrahimovic, two players that were managed by both of the managers, but more so managed by Mourinho. You got Claude Makelele and Essien as a midfield two, which is just insanity. Cole, Terry, Ramos, and Zanetti are the back four with De Gea in between the sticks. So a few older players here for the Mourinho team, and a lot of players really that aren't in the game. Deco, Makelele, Essien, Zanetti. Even when you go to the bench, you got Drogba, you got Lampard, you got Ricardo Carvalho there as well. You'll notice that there's no Iker Casillas. The three goalkeepers I picked were De Gea, Julio Cesar, and Cech. To be fair, Casillas should probably be here. I just could not be bothered buffing him as well. And I like Julio Cesar as well. I really do. He was one of my favorite goalkeepers growing up, and I wanted him in the team. So you can see the influence in Mourinho's team. A lot of it is Chelsea, because that was a really good time for him as a manager in his first stint at Chelsea. But you got sprinkles of Porto and Inter and now Manchester United there, so obviously his time at Madrid. It's a pretty good team. And looking at the two teams side by side, they're pretty even. I wanted these teams to be even. I didn't want the ratings to be too different. If you look at Pep's team, he's got 4 players 90 rated or over. In Mourinho's team, you have only 3. But I still think these teams are very, very even. I don't think you can pick them apart, to be honest with you. The benches are also pretty equal. In the top right corner, there will be a poll. I want you guys to vote. Who would you rather have? Team Mourinho or Team Pep? But take the ratings that I've given them out of the picture. Just based on the name value, which team would you rather have? Would you rather have the Mourinho managed team or the Guardiola managed team? Because they are both utterly fantastic. You got Mourinho's team, which is just full of league winners all across the world, really, and you got Pep's team, which is very Barca influenced, but that Barca team was one of the best teams I've ever seen. So it'd be very interesting to see how these two teams go head to head. Anyway, before we go into halfway through the season, these two teams actually have to face each other. So what we'll do is we'll show the simulated games between them, and then we'll head off and see how they do at the halfway point. A game 1 between the two Manchester clubs, and straight away it's the Mourinho team who pick up an early goal, 1-0 up after 1 minute thanks to Zlatan Ibrahimovic. As you can see, Lewandowski hits back, and the two number 9s going at it at the moment, 1-1. And we're in the second half now, and these two teams are very evenly matched, and this is evidence. Messi is the deadlock, though, the tiebreaker, and he now puts Manchester City and the Pep team up 2-1, and they clinch the win. Oh, and even a bigger shock, Messi actually performed in this game. That just doesn't happen ever, does it? And at halfway through the season, that win for Manchester City has extended from a 2-point lead to a 5-point lead. Had United won that game, they'd be up by a point right now. So that's the difference between the two teams at the moment. But as you can see, very, very even. They're clearly 1 and 2 in the league. Arsenal in 18th? I mean, you struggle that much without Mesut Ozil? I didn't even take Alexis Sanchez off you, and you're struggling. And then Swansea in the top 4. What is going on? What is actually going on here? Anyway, we're not even focused on those two teams. It's the top 2 at the moment. And the goal difference is similar, the points are similar, and I'm expecting the second game to be pretty similar. So let's get into the second game. We'll take a look at how things wrap up at the end of the season. Mourinho's team is desperate, in need of a 3-point performance against Pep's team next time they face. They'll have the home game, which is what they need. And they need 3 points, because those 3 points can go a very, very long way. So without further ado, let's take a look at how that second game ends up. Okay, here we are for the second game. It is the Mourinho and the United home game, like I said before. And it's this time Aguero for the Pep team that hits out early. And the complete polar opposite of what happened in the other game, and it's now Ibrahimovic that brings it back. The only way that could have been more perfect was if Lewandowski opened up the account for Pep's team, and then Ibra brought it back. Ibra's made it 2. Speaking of Zlatan, and it's 2-1 now, this time the other way round. The home team in both games now 2-1 up, and it has ended that way. Mourinho's boys picking up a massive win here against Pep's team, and they're just 1-1 pretty much. 1 win, 1 loss, going head to head. 2-1, exact same result. I mean, it's the exact same. They are just, you cannot split these two teams apart, it seems. At the end of the season, though, a 6-point gap. And it's Pep's team who have done it. A better attacking and better defensive team, only slightly on both fronts, but it's a 6-point lead that's got them the win over the Mourinho team. As you can see, Drogba was the main man, it seemed, for Mourinho's team. It seems like Ibrahimovic wasn't actually playing all those games. He picked up 26 goals, but De Bruyne picked up 21. Messi? Hang on a minute. He performed. Messi actually... He actually performed, ladies and germs. I mean, Xavi picked up 17 goals as well. I mean, that's fantastic. But Messi, with Iniesta and Xavi behind him, that's the key, boys. I found it. It's Xavi. It's Xavi. That's the key to him performing. Oh my, it's just like real life. Yep. confirmed. I mean, 10 assists for Xavi, surely all of them were for Messi, because he would not otherwise score 18 goals. It would not make sense. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe... Who says FIFA's not realistic? Come on now. I've figured it out. Anyway, that is the end of today's experiment, guys. If you did enjoy it, make sure you do leave a like on the video. You can also subscribe if you're new around here. Additionally, you guys can keep leaving your suggestions in the comment section below for future FIFA 17 experiment ideas. Without further ado, I'm gonna get up out of here, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said before, I hope you did enjoy today's video. I hope you had a good day. I'll see you guys in the next one very soon. Keep it real.